Oh, it's you again. Well, I guess that means it's time for another recipe, and it's a good thing I have one. Tonight, we will make a vegan meatloaf. Mom, the meatloaf!
Cooking with the vegan zombie.
Now, when I was a youngin', I was using those processed meats and seitan to make meatloaf, and let me tell you, that just sat in the pit of my stomach, slowing me down from all those zombies. So now, I'm gonna make a meatloaf using grains and potatoes. Now, since I don't have any meat in here, I call it Neatloaf because, well, it's pretty neat. Now, don't judge. What we got here is a cup of millet, 3 medium potatoes, and 3 medium onions, all chopped up. Well, the millet's not chopped up. Now, we need to make this meatloaf before nightfall because I've got some traveling to do tonight. A journey, if you will. Now, let's head over to the stovetop where I've got some stock boiling for the millet and some water boiling for these potatoes. We're gonna add 1 cup of millet to 3 cups of stock. Stir it and bring it back up to a boil. And once it's boiling, we're gonna turn it down and simmer it for about 20 minutes till that grain absorbs all the liquid. Millet is actually an ancient grain, so I guess you could say it's grancient. Now we're gonna add these potatoes to the boiling water. You don't want to overcook these, so you're going to cook them for about 20 minutes or so. You still want a little bit of chew to them. Okay, our millet's boiling. We're going to turn that down. So we got our taters that are cooking. We got our millet that's cooking. Now we're going to saute up our onions. About 3 tablespoons of olive oil on a medium heat. Do the truffle shuffle, Indy. We want these to take on a nice dark caramelized color. So we're gonna keep stirring them. It's probably gonna take about 10 to 15 minutes. We got a nice golden brown color to these onions. Now's the time to add 2 ribs of chopped celery and 3 cloves of minced garlic. And we're gonna saute that for about 2 minutes. You can really smell these flavors coming together right now. It's delicious. And now we're gonna add a teaspoon of toasted caraway seeds, a teaspoon of sage, a teaspoon of thyme, and a teaspoon of salt. Stir that for about 2 minutes. Take it right off the heat, and then we're gonna deglaze the pan with 2 tablespoons of balsamic vinegar. And that's what we're going for right there. Set that aside and let those flavors marry. All right, gang, everything's cooked and cooled down. Now you want it to be a little bit cooler because you're gonna be mushing some stuff with your hands. And you don't wanna burn your hands off because you just might have to fight a zombie or 2 in the near future. What I have here is a big giant mixing bowl. We're gonna put everything in here. Well, not everything, all the ingredients that I've already cooked. We're not gonna put Indy in here. That wouldn't taste good, would it, Indy? Millet, our taters, and last but not least, 2 tablespoons of vegan Worcestershire sauce made by Edward & Sons. Boop. Boop. Next, you're gonna wanna dive up in here with your hands and mush it all together into just a uniform meatloafy mush. At this point in the game, you're gonna wanna try to taste test it and make sure it doesn't need any salt or pepper. Just right. Now we're ready to put it in our loaf pan, and I have a piece of parchment paper that I am going to place in here like so it's easier to pull out once we're done. Now all you have to do is just take a fistful of it and cram it in there, because we don't have a lot of time. Now, it looks like we're gonna make it just in time before it gets dark. Now, what's meatloaf without a little bit of organic ketchup on there? So, spread out a nice layer of ketchup, and then all we have to do is pop it in the oven at 350 degrees for about a half hour. Shall we? Into the oven she goes. Now you have to do 200 push-ups. Well, I got my glovies on because it's time to take the meatloaf out of the oven. Now you're gonna use the parchment paper, these little handlebars, and pick this meatloaf up. Set it on the cutting board, let it cool down a little bit, and then you can slice it up and serve it. So after it sits for a few minutes, you're gonna get a serrated knife, and you're gonna gently slice your way through that loaf. I like to serve my meatloaf up with some asparagus, but you can choose whatever green you want for a side, but make sure you eat your greens, kids. Let me just give this a try and make sure it tastes good. Oh man, it's got all the flavors that remind me of what meatloaf used to taste like. Yet, it's healthy for you. And it doesn't sit in your stomach, weighing you down. And most importantly, it's not gonna turn you into a zombie. And for this and other great recipes, make sure you go to our YouTube page and subscribe, survive, and tell someone you trust. It's still a little hot. Ouch. Ah!